"You don't belong here," Stepmom yelled at little girl. But a millionaire heard and stepped in. Then the autumn rain pelted against the windows of the upscale children's boutique as 8-year-old Maya pressed her small face against the glass, watching other children laugh and play inside. Her worn sneakers squeaked against the wet pavement, and her oversized hand-me-down jacket hung loosely around her tiny frame. What she didn't know was that this moment would change her life forever, when a stranger's act of kindness would prove that sometimes the most broken hearts create the strongest bonds. If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and don't forget to subscribe to Millionaire in Love. For more inspiring stories that will restore your faith in humanity, your support means the world to us. Maya had been living with her stepmother, Regina, for 6 months since her father's sudden death in a car accident. Regina had made it abundantly clear that Maya was nothing more than an unwelcome burden, a constant reminder of her late husband's previous marriage. The insurance money from her father's death had been substantial, but Regina spent it freely on herself while Maya wore the same 3 outfits to school week after week. On this particular Saturday, Regina had dragged Maya along to the shopping district, not out of maternal care, but because she had no one else to watch her. Regina was meeting her wealthy boyfriend, Charles, at an expensive restaurant, and she needed to buy a new dress to impress him. Maya had begged to stay home, but Regina's sharp refusal echoed through their small apartment that morning. "You think I trust you alone in my house? You'll probably break something else, just like you broke that vase last week," Regina had snapped, referring to an accident that happened when Maya was trying to dust the shelves to help with chores. Now standing outside the boutique, Maya watched through the window as other children tried on beautiful clothes, their parents smiling and taking pictures. Her heart ached with a longing she couldn't quite name. She wasn't asking for much, just a warm coat that fit properly, or maybe a pair of shoes without holes in the soles. "Maya, get away from there!" Regina's voice cut through the afternoon air like a blade. She strutted over in her designer heels, shopping bags in hand, her face twisted with irritation. "What are you doing, embarrassing me by staring into stores like some street child?" Maya stepped back quickly, her cheeks burning with shame. "I was just looking, I'm sorry. I thought maybe what? That I'd waste money on you?" Regina's voice grew louder, drawing stares from passers-by. "Let me make something crystal clear, you little pest. You don't belong here. You don't belong in nice stores, you don't belong in my life, and you certainly don't belong in this family. Your father is gone, and the only reason I keep you around is because the state would ask too many questions if you disappeared." Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she bit her lip to keep from crying. She had learned that tears only made Regina angrier. The words hit her like physical blows, each one confirming the fears that whispered in her mind late at night, that she was unwanted, unloved, and truly alone in the world. What neither Maya nor Regina noticed was the tall, distinguished man in a tailored coat who had been walking past and stopped when he heard the commotion. Alexander Hayes, CEO of Hayes Industries and one of the city's most successful entrepreneurs, had been heading to his car after a business lunch when the harsh words caught his attention. Alexander had built his empire from nothing. He knew what it felt like to be dismissed, overlooked, and told he didn't belong. But unlike Maya, he had been an adult when he faced those challenges. Seeing this small child endure such cruelty awakened something deep in his chest. A protective instinct he hadn't felt since his own daughter had died in a tragic accident 5 years earlier. He watched as Regina continued her verbal assault, oblivious to the growing crowd of uncomfortable witnesses. Maya stood there taking it all, her small hands clenched at her sides, her chin trembling but her back straight. There was a dignity in her posture that reminded Alexander of his late daughter Emma, who had possessed the same quiet strength. "Excuse me," Alexander said, his deep voice carrying an authority that immediately silenced Regina mid-sentence. He approached with measured steps, his presence commanding attention. "I couldn't help but overhear. Is there a problem here?" Regina's demeanor shifted instantly when she saw Alexander's expensive suit and confident bearing. Her voice became syrupy sweet, the same tone she used when she wanted something. "Oh, no problem at all, sir. Just dealing with a difficult child. You know how kids can be." Alexander's steel-gray eyes moved from Regina to Maya, who was staring at the ground, her shoulders hunched in defeat. Something in her posture reminded him so strongly of Emma that his chest tightened with old grief and new determination. "Actually, I was watching from across the street," Alexander said calmly, his gaze returning to Regina. "I saw a little girl looking in a store window, and I heard an adult telling her she doesn't belong anywhere. That's not discipline, that's abuse." Regina's face flushed red. "Now see here. You have no right to interfere with how I raise my stepdaughter. This is none of your business." "You're right," Alexander said, pulling out his phone. "Which is why I'm calling Child Protective Services to make it their business. I have a recording of everything you just said to this child." The color drained from Regina's face. She hadn't noticed Alexander holding his phone, hadn't realized he had been recording the entire incident. In today's world, everyone had cameras, and Regina's public display of cruelty had been captured in its entirety. "Wait, please," Regina stammered, suddenly realizing the potential consequences of her actions. "You don't understand. I'm under a lot of stress. I've been caring for her since her father died, and it's been difficult. Difficult enough to tell a child she doesn't belong anywhere? Difficult enough to publicly humiliate her?" Alexander's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. "Maya, is it? Is this how she treats you at home too?" Maya looked up for the first time, her brown eyes wide with surprise that this stranger knew her name and was actually asking her opinion. She glanced nervously at Regina, who was shooting her warning looks. "It's okay," Alexander said gently, crouching down to Maya's eye level. "You can tell me the truth. I promise nothing bad will happen to you for being honest." The kindness in his voice was Maya's undoing. Tears she had been holding back for months began to flow. "She says mean things every day. She tells me I'm worthless and that my daddy was stupid for leaving me behind. She spends all his insurance money on herself and her boyfriend, and I haven't had new clothes since daddy died. Sometimes she forgets to buy food, and I get so hungry at school that the nurse gives me crackers." Each word was like a dagger to Alexander's heart. He had lost his own daughter to a tragic accident, and here was Regina, carelessly destroying a child who was very much alive and desperately in need of love. Regina's face had gone from red to pale as Maya spoke. She realized that her public outburst had potentially cost her everything. "Maya, honey, you know you're exaggerating. I take good care of you." "No," Maya said with surprising firmness, looking directly at Regina for the first time in months. "You don't take care of me. You hurt my feelings every day and make me feel like I'm bad for existing." Alexander stood up, his decision made. "Ma'am, I'm calling CPS and I'm also calling my lawyer. This child needs immediate intervention." "Please, you don't understand," Regina pleaded, her mask finally slipping completely. "I need the money from caring for her. I can't afford my apartment without it, and Charles will leave me if I can't keep up our lifestyle. I'll do better, I promise." The truth came spilling out. Regina had been collecting benefits for Maya's care while spending the money on herself. She had been using Maya's tragic circumstances for financial gain while providing minimal care and maximum emotional damage. Alexander made his calls while Regina stood frozen in panic. Within 30 minutes, a CPS worker arrived along with a police officer. Alexander's lawyer had already started documenting the case, and his security team had retrieved additional footage from nearby surveillance cameras that corroborated Maya's account. As the authorities sorted through the legal details, Alexander sat with Maya on a bench outside the boutique. She was still crying, but they were different tears now. Tears of relief, confusion, and cautious hope. "Why are you helping me?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Alexander was quiet for a long moment, watching the autumn leaves swirl in the wind. "I had a little girl once. Her name was Emma, and she would have been about your age now. She died in an accident, and every day since then, I've wondered what I could have done differently to protect her." He turned to look at Maya, his eyes gentle but serious. "I can't bring Emma back, but I can make sure you're safe and loved, if you'll let me." "What do you mean?" Maya asked, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. "I mean, I'd like to adopt you if you're okay with that. I know I'm a stranger and I know you've been hurt badly. I can't promise it will be easy. You'll need time to heal and I'll need to learn how to be a dad again. But I can promise you'll never have to wonder if you belong somewhere. You'll belong with me." Maya stared at him in disbelief. "But why would you want me? Regina says I'm broken and too much trouble." Alexander's heart broke a little more. "Maya, listen to me very carefully. You are not broken. You are not too much trouble. You are a brave, strong little girl who has survived something terrible, and that makes you extraordinary. Regina was wrong about everything. You belong everywhere you choose to be, and you deserve to be loved exactly as you are." The CPS investigation moved quickly due to Alexander's documentation and resources. Regina's financial fraud was exposed, revealing that she had been collecting substantial benefits meant for Maya's care while spending the money on luxury items for herself. The evidence was overwhelming, and within a week, Regina had relinquished her guardianship rights in exchange for avoiding criminal charges. Alexander's adoption process was expedited due to his impeccable background check, financial stability, and the urgent nature of Maya's situation. His grief counselor, whom he had been seeing since Emma's death, helped him prepare for the challenges of raising a traumatized child. The first few months in Alexander's mansion were an adjustment for both of them. Maya had never lived in luxury, and she spent weeks afraid to touch anything, convinced she would break something valuable and be sent away. Alexander had to learn patience all over again, understanding that Maya's hypervigilance and people-pleasing behaviors were survival mechanisms developed during her time with Regina. There were difficult moments. Maya had nightmares and would sometimes wake up crying, calling for her father. She hoarded food in her room because she was terrified of being hungry again. She flinched when Alexander raised his voice, even when he was just talking loudly on a business call. But there were beautiful moments too. The first time Maya laughed at one of Alexander's terrible dad jokes. The morning she came down to breakfast and shyly asked if she could help him make pancakes. The evening she fell asleep during a movie and didn't wake up when he carried her to her room, a sign that she finally felt safe enough to be completely vulnerable. Alexander enrolled Maya in therapy to help her process her trauma and grief. He also started seeing a family counselor to learn how to be the father Maya needed. He hired a kind, nurturing housekeeper named Mrs. Patterson, who became like a grandmother to Maya and helped create the warm, stable home environment she had never experienced. Slowly, Maya began to heal. She made friends at her new private school, joined the art club, and discovered she had a talent for painting. Alexander attended every school play, art show, and parent-teacher conference, becoming the engaged father Maya had always deserved. 1 year after their first meeting, Alexander found Maya in her art studio, a converted bedroom he had designed just for her creative pursuits. She was working on a painting of a stormy sky clearing to reveal sunshine. "That's beautiful," he said, genuinely impressed by her skill and the emotion conveyed in the piece. "It's us," Maya said simply. "The storm was before, when everything was scary and dark. The sunshine is now, when I'm safe with you." Alexander felt tears prick his eyes. "Maya, do you remember what Regina said to you that day, that you didn't belong?" Maya nodded, her expression serious. "She was wrong. You belonged with me from the moment I heard your heart breaking. You belonged in this house from the first day you walked through the door. You belong in every dream I have for our future together. But most importantly, you belong to yourself. You're strong and wonderful and worthy of love, and no one can ever take that away from you again." Maya set down her paintbrush and hugged him tightly. "I love you, Dad." It was the first time she had called him Dad, and Alexander felt his heart fully heal from wounds he thought would never close. 2 years later, Alexander and Maya attended a charity gala for children's services, an organization Alexander now supported generously. Maya, now 10 and radiant with confidence, had helped plan the event and even gave a short speech about the importance of speaking up for children who couldn't speak for themselves. As they danced together at the gala, Maya spotted a familiar figure across the room. Regina was there as the guest of a minor local politician, looking uncomfortable and out of place among the wealthy philanthropists. "Dad, look," Maya said, nodding toward her former stepmother. Alexander tensed, ready to protect Maya from any potential confrontation. But Maya surprised him with her response. "I feel sorry for her," Maya said thoughtfully. "She's so angry inside that she can't see how beautiful the world can be. I hope she finds her sunshine someday too." Alexander marveled at his daughter's wisdom and compassion. Maya had not only survived her trauma, she had transformed it into empathy and strength. As the evening wound down, a reporter approached them for an interview about Alexander's philanthropic work. When asked what inspired his dedication to children's services, Alexander looked at Maya with unmistakable love and pride. "Sometimes we think we're saving someone else, but really they're saving us. Maya didn't just gain a father, she gave me back my purpose, my joy, and my faith in the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. She reminded me that family isn't just about blood. It's about choosing to love someone completely and showing up for them every single day." Maya beamed up at him, her confidence and happiness a testament to the transformation that love and stability had brought to her life. The reporter then asked Maya what advice she would give to other children facing difficult situations. Maya thought carefully before answering, her voice clear and strong. "I would tell them that even when people say you don't belong, you do belong. You belong in this world. You belong in your own story. And somewhere out there is someone who will love you exactly as you are. Don't give up because your sunshine might be just around the corner." That night, as Alexander tucked Maya into bed in her beautiful room filled with art supplies, books, and treasures from their travels together, she looked up at him with contentment. "Dad, do you think Daddy would be happy that I found you?" Alexander smiled, remembering his own daughter and how he had found peace through loving Maya. "I think your daddy and my Emma are both smiling down at us, proud of how we found each other and became a family." Maya nodded, satisfied, and drifted off to sleep surrounded by love, security, and the unshakable knowledge that she truly belonged. Alexander stood in the doorway for a moment, reflecting on how dramatically their lives had changed from that rainy afternoon outside the boutique. He had set out to save a little girl and instead had discovered that she had saved him right back. Together, they had proved that the most beautiful families are often the ones formed not by blood, but by choice, love, and an unbreakable commitment to showing up for each other through every storm and every season of sunshine that follows. This story shows us that kindness has the power to change lives in ways we never imagine. Sometimes all it takes is one person willing to step in and say, "You matter," to transform someone's entire world. If this message touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more stories that celebrate the incredible power of love and human connection. Remember, you never know when your act of kindness might be exactly what someone needs to believe they belong in this beautiful world. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.